Hello and welcome back to Roseland Park. You may have remembered, if you watched it back in October I think it was, I took some cuttings of Arctotis, African daisy that features largely in my summer bedding and in amongst tropical planting, just a good filler generally. I took the cuttings back in late October, a bit late in the year, but as you can see they've now taken really quite well, but they're looking a little bit sad and sickly. The nutrients gone out of the compost, and despite feeding they really do need potting up. I mean, I suspect, yeah, roots right to the bottom, as you may be able to see there. So, just to prove that they didn't all drop dead, I'm going to pop these up. Now, last time I popped them up in a cheap brand, I've not been entirely impressed with it. Not as good as my usual one, Melcourt, so I'm putting them for the last potting up. They're going into these larger pots. They're in 9cm, I think these are 12cm pots. These hold about a litre, I think, basically. I'm potting them up into some Melcourt this time for their final bit. They'll be very much pot bound by the end of April when they finally go out. But I haven't got the space to pot them into anything much bigger, so as you can see the staging is already pretty full. So it's a really simple, straightforward process. Grab a bit of compost. Actually, if I take one here I can show you a bit better. Here's one here. If you look, it's already very keen to flower. Little flower buds forming already. Best to remove these now. And this is a good moment also to pull off any old dead leaves. Basically improve the hygiene of the plant before you pot it on. Again, nice roots there. I'll give them a little bit of disturbance. My feeling is that doesn't hurt them at all. May physically hurt them, but it encourages more root growth, more root development. Bring my compost bucket up here, it'll be easy to start. There I am. So there's not a huge leap in pot size, but should just give them the little boost they need to see them through until they go in the garden. These grow into substantial plants over the summer. One of these, and then they'll flower onto the first frosts. In milder winters they'll go right through. Looking very sick for it. But one of these little tiny plants here, you can see a little rosette with just 2 or 3 growing points, will grow to a plant in a sort of a circular diameter of 2 foot across, given good conditions. And other than deadheading, they will flower and flower and flower. They don't really need a lot. In open soil, they're not particularly hungry plants. Don't need much feeding, and obviously in pots and things they will. But I can thoroughly recommend them. This particular variety is called Heidi, I think, which is a rather nice burnt red colour, deep, sort of slightly burgundy, I suppose. Again, good root development here, but as you can see they've searched everywhere they can in these cheap compost for somewhere to find some nutrients and failed. Now I've been giving them weekly feeds of seaweed fertiliser just to keep them ticking over. I wasn't able to get the compost, so that's often the case unfortunately when you're working, if I do professionally, sometimes time does not allow, or in this case where I get my compost is a long way away and I couldn't borrow the minibus. So these have stayed in the pots a little bit longer than is ideal, but I think you'll be surprised how rapidly these bounce back to healthy green plants from this. And it really is as simple as you can see. I'm literally handful of compost in the pot. I tend to strip away this top layer of compost and put it towards the bottom of the pot, simply because there's no roots in it, so there may well be a bit more food in it, and also just being a little OCD. The aesthetic looks better to have this nice, clean, fine Melcourt silver grow, which is by far the best peat-free compost. And you get what you pay for. The other stuff, £7 a bag. This is £9.50 a bag, 50 litres that is. But you get what you pay for. It's a far finer, more even product, and I would thoroughly recommend it. So I didn't get it for the initial thing simply because at the time I couldn't get it from the garden centre where I have an account for work. And it's as simple as that. You can't get what you want all the time. Also, demand for peat-free generally is hugely increased, so it can be difficult to get exactly what you want, exactly when you want it. As you see, this one's looking particularly sad, a little bit dry, I think, possibly. Down in here, you might just see there's a little flower there only just coming, so that one's small enough I can just nip off with my fingers. And again, it's just a case teasing the roots out a little bit, popping it in the pot. Doing it on the bucket isn't great for video purposes. And then settling him down into this new compost. These will have a good dose of water. Now this is a heated greenhouse, but that makes it sound like it's like the rainforest in here. It's not. It's heated to keep it frost free, so it's actually only between 5 and 10 degrees centigrade all winter in here, and it's just to keep the frost off. So cans of water can get actually very cold, and you don't want to shock these plants that have been sitting in a stable condition. So I have a heated propagator behind me, you probably can't see, and I put my watering cans on that overnight. It's ticking over at the moment with some seeds. I put them on that overnight. That warms the water up to sort of 10-12 degrees at least, sometimes a bit more, and that takes away any shock problems you might get. Anyway, I'll carry on potting these up, and I may well do another video towards the end of April when these finally go into the garden, show you where they end up, and then I'll post photographs throughout the summer of the wonderful flowers they produce. I thoroughly recommend these anyway.